I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all for coming. I'm going to make a change on the agenda here that Mrs. Gavin can remove her up after the consent items in case she wants to not hang out till midnight.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that adjustment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was dual.
Jean made the motion. Michaeline, second.
Thank you.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Public comment at this time? Anybody would like to speak?
I'm Cindy Smith, elementary ITA teacher. It's my understanding that the ITA Foundation cannot supply the funds that the district requires, and that the district cannot make up the difference. So I understand that that program will probably be terminated tonight. But I want to remind the board of some things that were said on March 15th, that taking this program away without, or on March 15th, anyway, taking this program away without having something else in place is, it's going to leave 30 students without the support that they've been getting. And so I want to urge you to consider different options. Is there some way that we can address these needs of the kids rather than just dropping them? And lastly, on more of a positive note, I do want to thank the ITA Foundation and the public schools for the many years that have been put in. There's a lot of people whose lives have been made a little bit better because of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is anybody else? Okay. Consent items. So I have a motion to approve the consent items.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Gary. Okay, we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mrs. Gavin's retirement resolution.
That's me. Are you going to speak to that? Well, it was listed.
Oh, yes, but yeah, no, you certainly may. Well, it's typical since Michaeline's been on the board. She's helped craft these resolutions to commend retirement of those employees that have been our stalwarts. They have helped create the fabric of the programs that we have and the excellence that we have. So
well, I would make a motion to introduce this resolution and to move for its adoption.
I second the motion, then very well written.
So I'd like to share it, we'd like to share it with the public as well, so
Yes.
who wants to read? Doesn't matter to me.
Well, you've only done it for the last 10 years, so
Oh.
maybe you should
Yeah.
continue on, Michael.
yes.
Thank you, Marion. Whereas Marion Gavin, Houston Elementary School Guidance Counselor, has elected to retire at the end of the 2017-2018 school year after completing 24 years of dedicated service to Houston Public Schools. And whereas during the course of her tenure at Houston Elementary Guidance Counselor, Marion has faithfully carried out professional duties as the go-to counselor who helps students work through the struggles they are experiencing, from the minor squabble with a friend to the major trauma that comes with the death of a family member, and as the counselor that students perceive as, quote, having magic in her, end quote, for her ability to calm upset students. And whereas Marion has been an integral member of each of the school improvement groups, from the early teacher assistant team, TAT, to the student support team,
SST, to the Student Assistance Team, SAT, that has now become the multi-tiered System of Supports, MTSS team, working to ensure each student is receiving an equitable educational experience. And whereas Marian has worked tirelessly to create a positive learning environment for all students in the school, as an indispensable developer and driver of the Positive Behavioral Intervention and Supports, PBIS team, from the very beginning, where she assisted with the application and attended all of the trainings, making her key to the program's successful first year. And as an enthusiastic advisor for the Kindness and Compassion Club, born from the highly influential anti-bullying program, Rachel's Challenge, and as an organizer and lead for Red Ribbon Week, promoting drug-free youth, held annually at Houston Elementary School during the last week in October. And whereas Marian has served faithfully as the school assessment coordinator, making sure that the Northwest Evaluation Association, NWEA, and then FastBridge tests went without a hitch every fall, winter, and spring, and ensuring the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments, MCAs, MCA2, and finally MCA3s, were administered correctly, overseeing processes so that every student had the accommodations or modifications necessary to support their success. And whereas Marian is respected by her colleagues and will be missed for her role as a reliable, consistent, vocal advocate for children, and for being an indispensable, do-whatever-it-takes professional and friend in Houston Elementary School, and for always handling whatever a given day presents with compassion and steady aplomb. Now therefore be it resolved that the Houston School Board expresses its appreciation and gives commendation to Marian for her years of service and commitment to excellence in service to students, and wishes Marian many happy and satisfying years in her retirement.
Thank you very much. Well, I just have to say, because I'm usually never at a loss for words, but in the time I've been here, starting with under Rose Conkey was my first principal, so things have improved greatly. So thank you very much. It's been a wonderful staff to work with, very dedicated, which makes my job a lot easier, a lot of working together on things, so it's been great. And apparently the word's out at school, because I got hit by a lot of kids today, you can't retire. It's like, I've done this 40 years, I think it's time to move on. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been a wonderful school, and it's been fun to be part of the growth and changes that we've had here. So keep up the good work. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Michaeline.
We're gonna vote on that.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, discussion items. First thing on the list, the Nautilus.
Yeah. Let's do this. I got some props in case I get scared, so I'll bring these over here. We get all out. Yeah. All right. You ready? So my name is Marty Momsen. I teach 10th through 12th grade science here at Houston. And I'm here to talk about a year as a STEAM communication fellow and hopefully raise excitement for ocean exploration. So just to start out being the teacher, I got a question for you. What % of the ocean do you think is still unexplored?
7, maybe.
95% of the ocean is still unexplored. So we know more about the surface of Mars. We know more about the surface of the moon. So in 2011, I was looking for things to do in the summer. And I found a possibility to be an educator at sea aboard Bob Ballard's boat. So the reasons I got involved with this was for professional development. It's how I reduce in the summer. It's how I bring the excitement back to the classroom. Student interest to model lifelong learning, discovery and exploration. There's stuff to discover and explore here in town, and there's stuff around the world. And persistence. I went in 2011. It took me 7 years to get back on the boat, so I think I'm modeling persistence here. Inspiration, this research inspires me. And comfort zones. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm supposed to be at a barbecue right now, So standing in front of the school board might be getting out of the comfort zone for me, but I think that's huge because I want it, more important than me is telling the story of science and getting kids excited about science. So if I make any mistakes, it's in the name of science, and that's a cool place to be. I have a connection to the sea that I haven't really talked that much about, but I'll tell you just briefly. My great uncle, Swede Mommsen, saved some sailors that were aboard the stricken vessel, aboard the stricken submarine, not Nautilus, but Squalus, back in the late 30s. So he developed something called the Mommsen bell, and he developed something called the Mommsen lung to help submariners get to the surface. And so he saved about half of them. Half of them died on their way down to the ocean floor. So. And by the way, he was inspired, he and Bob Ballard, who I'll show you in a picture in just a second, they were both inspired in English by 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So we're giving all disciplines love tonight. Second time I was aboard was in 2013. This was a different experience. Telepresence didn't work, so I was basically working with my hands the whole time. And I interacted with a few of you at the time, telling you what was going on. But this time is going to be way better, and I'll explain why. This is called Exploration Vessel Nautilus. This is the ship, German ship built in 1968. It was actually donated to Bob Ballard by the guy that owns the Florida Panthers. Ballard talked me into giving it to him, and he said, well, I think you're going to do more good with it than I will. So this is the ship. The reason why Ballard wanted to know was his own ship is because there's so much, as you can imagine, there's a lot of red tape in ocean exploration, especially with the government involved. So since it's his own private vessel, he can go where he wants, he can research what he wants. And what's cool about this, the same thing with Titanic. When Ballard found Titanic, he declared it a park. He declared it so it's open source, he didn't take anything. He could have gained salvage rights by just taking one item from Titanic, and he did. The same is true of all of the science that we do aboard Nautilus. It's open source, so anybody can have it. Anybody's welcome to it, which is really cool. So he's not in it necessarily to make a ton of money, he's in it for the science. And this is the guy, the star power. He originally found Titanic after he had found two subs, the Scorpion and the Thresher. We had suspected that they were sunk by Russian torpedoes, and he found them on the ocean floor, and they weren't. We just had some mishaps with them. But after that, the Navy gave him about 3 days to go looking for Titanic. And he's a little embarrassed about Titanic. His mom wasn't happy with him. She said, you're going to be known for finding Titanic more than your other science. And he really wants, he uses his star power. He's generous with it, but he wants to get, I don't know, his heart is with like hydrothermal vents or what's going on the ocean floor. He came up with this idea in the 1980s, this idea of telepresence. So the first thing people ask me when I go to sea is they're like, oh, do you scuba dive? I don't scuba dive at all. What we do is we have remotely operated vehicles that go to the bottom of the ocean floor. And so in this case, you can barely see there's a remotely operated vehicle attached to a tether up here. So this would be Hercules. You'll see him in a second. We go up to Argus. I don't know why these are guys and then the ship is a gal, but whatever. We go up here. This is Argus that acts like a sinker from if you were fishing. And so Hercules walks kind of up like on a leash from Argus. We're attached to a tether up to Nautilus. Nautilus then broadcasts the signal of what's going on to a satellite. And you'd think that Nautilus would be the expensive part. Renting this satellite, $100,000 a month. That's how much it costs to beam all of these images across the world. The satellite sends the image down to the Interspace Center in Rhode Island. And then the Interspace Center will send everything, the live feed out to the world. So you can see from that from the card I gave you, nautiluslab.org, you'll be able to see exactly what's going on from my leg of the journey, which is June 12th through July 2nd. It goes all the way to November. So this is going to be going well past the time I'm aboard. It takes about 8 seconds from inception all the way to broadcast, which is pretty cool. I think we're close to what the NBA can do. I don't know. So this is Hercules. You see him. I'll talk forever, but I'll try to be brief. This is Hercules taking a look at the bottom of the ocean floor. What we generally do is we use multi-beam sonar on the bottom of the boat to go back and forth to find targets of interest on the ocean floor. They call it mowing the lawn. And then when we find something that we want to dive on, we send Hercules after it. And if it's a shipwreck or if it's a biological or something, we'll take a sample. This is a navigational buoy called a football. This is Hercules on deck, state of the art. I can talk to you for a long time about this guy. He's rated to go to 4,000 meters, and we're building another one now, which is rated for 6,000 meters. So he can go to about 75% of the world's oceans. the next generation will be able to go to 95% of the world's oceans. And this is another snapshot of Argus. This is the control van on top of the ship. So there's like a cargo container on top of the ship, and these were all of the pilots, all the navigators interact, and so I'd be sitting right here, kind of describing. This is like when you were a kid and the adults were talking, you have to figure out like how to interject conversation. That's my job as a communication fellow, is I have to wait until they're done talking about navigation or until they're talking about operations, and then I get to interject. Oh, well, what are we sampling here? How does this work? And then at home, what you can do is you can ask questions like, what's going on? Like, what are you looking for? What are you hoping to find this leg of the expedition? And so we communicate with poster boards, and then this is really truly how people interact. This is the Nautilus Lab website where you can see the live feed of what's taking place right here. And then there's also different camera angles that you can look at. What's cool about this is you can log on to Nautilus Live, and without having any context, you can get an update of what's going on right here. So I can tell you where we're diving, this will be me, this will be what I'm doing. And then you can also rewind for an hour and a half. So you can have an idea of what's going on, because we don't even watch commercials anymore, so I'm sure you want to get to the point. This talks a little bit about my objectives before, and I'm not really going to get into that. I'll just say that this was the number the first time I was there, and now I'm on number 75, so it's been a month of Sundays since I was aboard. I do live interactions, and so that's part of the reason I'm here, is I'm interacting with you to tell you about the science. Hopefully you'll interact with everybody. And this was a live interaction with Aquarium in Mystic, Connecticut, and whatever you want to do. If you want me to talk to a group of Boy Scouts, 10 Boy Scouts or whatever, I'll do it. I'll have a conversation with them. If you want me to talk to an amphitheater full of 100 people, I'll talk to them. Retirement home, boom. Anything and everything to get the science out there. Especially kids in the summer. I think that's the only thing that's kind of frustrating about this, is we're going to be during summer break, and so I can't wrangle the kids like I can during the school year. So at the end, I'll open this up if you guys have questions or have ideas on how we can distribute this to the community. That'd be cool. One of my other jobs aboard is to make, we do some blogs, we do some photography work, and then I'm really supposed to highlight STEM careers, right? This is what kids are into. And I've already asked kids, I said, what do you think is cool about Nautilus? And of course they like Ballard, and then they like the robots, and then they like some of the other biologicals that are on the ocean floor. I always use this with students and with communities. I have no idea what this fish is, and that's okay. I have absolutely no clue. I've never found out, and I don't want to, because there's doctors on call that will know. And so gone is this comprehensive knowledge that we have to have, and what we have now is access to resources around the world. This guy, however, is a pipefish. What's cool about this is within 5 minutes of seeing this pipefish, I was on watch at this time, we had a full video up at the Inner Space Center, so we try to get a polished product out to explain the science of what's going on. And this is the star of the show. This is 3,000 meters underneath the water. There's no light. So this is all anaerobic. This is all chemosynthetic, and we didn't know about this 40 years ago. So this is the stuff that Bob Ballard really wants to tell the story about. These are hydrothermal vents. This is where I'll be, this summer I'm going to be looking at hydrothermal vents. I'll be looking at specifically methane seeps. So I'm going to fly into San Francisco, and we're going to Nautilus under the Golden Gate, which is cool, and then out into what's called the Cascadia Margin. And so we're going to look about 1,000 to 1,500 meters down for methane. Geek moment, this methane was around when the Earth was created, right? This methane is seeping directly from the mantle. We can't get to the mantle, so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. Our goal at Nautilus is to have, if any kid wants to get aboard, male or female, wherever their station is, whatever they're into, we want it to be accessible. So this guy, Mike Filmin, built this, what's called a Mike-type water container. He built it for $1,000. He tested it in the lab, and because he won the design contest, he got to go on the ship, which was pretty cool. So there's definitely pathways, there's definitely careers. It can be art, it can be science, definitely can be math, and then engineering, obviously, with the robots. I bring my unique take to every situation, and I found it deeply ironic that where you work out on the ship is right next to the ice cream freezer, and because I have that way about me, as I would work out, people would just openly taunt me with ice cream, which I deserved. But then, as silly as this is pretty profound. This is Sergey. He's from Russia. He was making $200 a month as a medical doctor in Russia. He was making more money aboard Nautilus as a cook's assistant and a medic. And incidentally, this is the only smile I ever got out of him. And I don't know if he's annoyed or wants to kill me. I don't know. I just got out of it after that. Every summer, we get to the summer and we wonder, do we really want to go back to the classroom the next fall? And I'll readily admit that. And what was cool is when I was aboard before, there were students that came on and I just gravitated to them because I wanted to see what they thought. I didn't want to hear their stories. So Tayshawn and I he gave me his take on Nautilus and it was a pretty neat experience. So I want to talk about partnerships too because I think this is important for Houston. Here's what's unique about this situation. We're in Minnesota. We're pretty far away from the ocean. We're one of only a few public schools that have an educator at sea, right? So I think we should use that. I think we should use whatever press we can get out of this, whatever this looks like, I think we should use it to get kids into science. I mean, my ultimate selfish goal is to have kids aboard Nautilus. That's my dream, or aboard wherever they want to go. So I'll be doing interviews, or I'll be doing some lectures at St. Mary's University, because I'm always interacting with my alma mater, with Winona State as well. Talking to the Duluth Aquarium, I'm doing one live interaction with them. I have one live interaction with Florida Aquarium. I tried to hook Underwater World in the Mall of America, but I haven't heard back from them yet. We have regional partners here, and there's cool science to be done here as well. Quail Forever, we just got a partnership with them a couple years ago where we're taking kids out, we're building habitat for quail around here. We're bringing the bobwhite quail back, which is some really cool research. We have the Mobile Science Lab, which I don't know if you're aware of or not. That's a cool partnership with Mayo Clinic. The one stressor there is it's cool to put your name on something, but you got to support it. And a lot of the Mayo support has kind of withered over the years. So the guy that was running the show on that is gone. And me and a colleague from Winona High School are going to be stocking this trailer for the next year, which is going to be going up there twice a month to take care of. The goal of this year with Ocean Exploration Trust is to bring consumables back, or bring deliverables back. So I'm supposed to be able to bring a lesson plan to the kids. The idea I like, and you can give me your input on this, is to have a path for STEAM careers, like to have a template, to have some sort of thing that they can do to actualize a career. These were just a couple resources that I've developed. This is a Marine Life Field Guide, which you can download on your tablets. And an invitation to science, which talks about all of the science that's taken place on the West Coast, which is pretty neat. And this is it. 6 days after I got off the ship, the Stromboli volcano started erupting. This is my bucket list, man. I want to see volcanoes, and I missed it. So my point here is that our exploration never ends. That we want to keep coming back for more. So that's it. This is the last thing. The green. Has anyone ever heard of the green flash in the ocean? So sometimes when the sun sets just over the ocean, you can get this green flash. That's an interaction with the atmosphere in the ocean. And mariners dream of seeing it, right? They spend a lifetime trying to see it. And that's kind of what you get here, right, in the Midwest. This one little illumination you probably get, like when you come back from this, you get a minute to tell your story. And I want you guys to help tell my story. I want you guys to help me get people excited about ocean exploration or science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So with that, I'll open up for any questions, and thank you for letting me have a few minutes of your time tonight. I appreciate it. Any ideas from you?
So you plan on incorporating this for your class next year?
Oh yeah.
Part of this, I'm assuming?
Well, and what I've already done is I've already incorporated it this year.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy if you're teaching a class like biology to talk about chemosynthesis, to talk about hydrothermal vents. Yeah, it's a pretty seamless connection.
Do your kids, obviously they must have told them when you're going to be on and how to connect with you if they have questions, they want to watch this whole adventure?
Yep, cool. I've told them as well. And then we can have it in a newsletter, and on the district website we can have it as well.
Have you, I don't know whether there's anything that community education could set up. I'm just wondering either community ed or the nature center in terms of having, setting up some time when you are broadcasting,
Sure.
that we could I don't know what their calendars are. I know when you were out there on the 2013.
Yeah.
I was frequently logging in, and I wasn't sure what was going on, but I was watching the whichever one was going around looking at stuff, and I'm like, I wonder what they're looking at.
The science wasn't perfect. We had basically a monster truck trying to do like brain surgery with all of the ROVs. It wasn't great. So this year is.
But it was cool to realize that was going on out there, and like you're asking for how can we partner and set this up, and with school being out, I'm trying to think of who is a possible connect over the summer for, one-time presentation or a live feed or something.
Are there times that you are going to know that you're going to be setting at your little desk and adding the commentary, so we could have those times and maybe set it up in here?
Yeah, so
And
between June 13th and July 2nd, we'll be working a shift, so it'll be around the clock, like it's going to be telepresence nonstop. So somebody will be working, and then once I have an idea of my schedule, I can email and say what's going on. But it's as easy as a Google Hangout. Like that's all we're doing is Google Hangouts to talk to people. So the technology that you need requirements is not that high.
Even Liz at the library might want to do something for the summer
Oh,
program.
That's a good thought.
They've got station, kids could be. So I don't know how we can help facilitate those connections, but I think it's a really exciting opportunity. So
I'd be more than happy to talk to the library. I'd be more than happy to work with the nature center. So
Yeah, because in Liz, I know they have every weekend, like what is it, Saturday or something?
Yep, Saturdays.
but even during the summer,
But I mean, she could post it, even
So
if
as
you're
soon as
not
I
part of it.
have the schedule of when you're gonna be on, I can get it to Ellen, get it to Liz, get it to Rick as far as community ed, and
that would be great.
I think she'll latch onto that.
Yeah, and even if you're not on, from what you just said, it's gonna be going on through a long period of time.
Yeah,
I think we should let them know that it'll be continuing if they want to be part, kind of focused when you're gonna be there, but.
It might be easier when I'm here in the fall teaching to do more interaction, because I'll know the scientists or the educators that are gonna be there at the time. So.
Well, even to, like you said, to have a local educator, an educator here in our community that can answer questions. So you can even write down your questions while you're out at sea, and then when you're here in the fall, here's the question list.
Well, you said they could interact with you, correct, while you're there?
Oh yeah, yep.
So they can just email, like.
So what they can do is, so there's a live question box. They just send me a question and then I'll answer it. So they hear my voice and yeah.
Are you asking anything else of us, or is it just promotion?
I'm just trying to promote it. Yeah, this is one cool thing about the depth. So I'm having the art kids write on foam cups, and then if you put them down about 2,000 meters, this is what they do. The oxygen shrinks out of them. So.
Great presentation, by the
Thank
way.
you.
You're very comfortable up there.
I mean, it's kind of amazing that right here in Houston we have a connection to the world that most people couldn't even imagine.
That's right.
yeah, so thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
No problem. All right.
Go to your barbecue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's
Super.
nice enough to be yours.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks again. Okay, Hiawatha Valley Medical Health Program.
Julie Hansen from Hiawatha Valley Mental Health let me know that the grant that's funding the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health counselors coming into the school did not get funded at the same rate. There was the same dollar amount designated statewide. However, Julie is assuming that it went to programs that had not been funded before, so they were trying to take the funding and spreading it to other areas. And so what she's done is, as you can see, using the historical, financial, and service data, the cost to schools is $2,750 per day of service per school, link staff person per calendar year. I asked Crystal and then Marion at the high school and the elementary school to go through the amount of time that is used currently by students at Houston Public Schools for that Hiawatha Valley Mental Health. And in using that time, it ends up being 7.5 hours per week at a minimum that's used. And if you're using 40 weeks of school, that's almost one day. It ends up being $99,000 at this rate. And what we used, we had Hiawatha Valley Mental Health prior to having the grant, and we used the collaborative dollars, but those collaborative dollars are going to preschool now. So those have already been earmarked for that, and the board's already approved that. So we don't have those dollars anymore, and at this rate, the $20,000 that we get from the collaborative would not go very far anyway. So I know we're getting the social worker at the elementary school who can help with some of this. However, we need to look at other options and other opportunities.
So, have you guys thought about it, or is there any grant money out there, places that we can work with?
We're looking into, because we were hoping that when the grant money was approved by the legislature, that this grant would just get funded again, and when it didn't, there are individuals that are providing counseling to some of our students, and they're getting paid for by private insurance. And so we can help with parents finding a way for their private insurance to pay for that, and having the counselors come in that way. But we don't have an extra 100,000 in the budget for
So what's Hiawatha doing about it? I mean, obviously it's something that we've kind of relied on them helping us with.
Right.
So what are they doing to look around to find funding or help?
They looked for their grant, they didn't find it, and so what they're doing is sending us a letter saying if we're going to use their service, it's going to be $2,750.
So they're not.
And Hiawatha HVAD is different than this.
Right, this is Hiawatha Valley Mental Health.
Yeah.
That's a totally different entity than Hiawatha Valley Ed District.
And how many kids are getting this service?
There are 7 clients right now.
So 7 clients would be 90,000. 7 kids, $90,000.
99, yes, because it works out, they're getting different levels of service. Some of them are getting an hour a week, one's getting 2 hours a week, some are getting 30 minutes a week. So if I added up the minimum service, because some are getting between 30 minutes and an hour, some are 45 minutes and an hour. If I added up the minimum minutes, it ended up being 7.5 hours a week.
And what's the difference in the counseling services that they're providing versus the counselor we had on staff in the elementary? I don't understand.
Okay,
the difference.
This is a different, this is mental health counseling. It's like the social worker with the licensed for, licensed clinical social worker. So this is someone that typically has a master's in social work with the counseling degree, which would be the LCS.
How are these students referred to that program? Are they by the teacher, by the parent, by?
Both. Or it's somebody that has gone to one of our counselors for help, and the counselor realizes that this is more of a mental health concern than what the counselor has the wherewithal to deal with.
Something that kids graduate from or don't need any longer?
Yes, they can. And that is always the goal, to make sure that they have found the way to be self-reliant, resilient, that they have found coping mechanisms with this counselor to deal with the issues in their life that have caused the problems.
High school, This is completely unrelated to online.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all
Okay.
just on site.
So out of those 7, then how many are in high school and how many are in elementary then? then what-
It was 4 and 3.
And what has Mrs. Sabota had to comment on this, or what?
She said we need to find something, if it's, helping the families find a way for their contracting with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health, but then knowing that the student's individual insurance is going to be billed instead.
So,
What are
Yeah.
the chances if we were to post for a counselor that also had the ability to do this? I mean, is there,
It's,
there's no chance in finding somebody?
what we would be looking for is, it's Scott Sigersma has that type of counseling, it's not a school counselor. This is a totally different degree than a school counselor.
It's not a school psychologist or?
No, a school psychologist, and that's kind of a misnomer, but a school psychologist is someone who knows how to do the testing to qualify a child for special education. And so they're looking at a battery of different tests.
So
This is really a mental health counselor that you would
So-
have.
What's
could
their,
they double dip? Could they be both?
It is, you
what's
would
their
have-
educational background and requirements for that position?
For the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health,
Yeah.
the counselors, most of them have either a Bachelor's of Arts of Social Work, or most of them have the Masters of Social Work. They've got they're a licensed clinical social worker, or they have the licensed school social worker with the emphasis in counseling.
So on Wednesday, there was an update from MREA on the update on the E12 funding, and so there was a line in there that said School Link Mental Health Grants receive an ongoing $5 million increase. How is that different, or how does that apply to this?
That's within that increase. It went to, and if you're looking at the areas of the state of Minnesota that had not been receiving these services will now get the grant dollars. So the grant dollars are getting redistributed across the state, and so they felt that in southeastern Minnesota, we were getting more grant dollars than other parts of the state, so those grant dollars got funneled to other parts of the state, so the grant they got the grant, but it was so severely reduced that this is the only way that they can keep the staffing that they have.
Now, the individuals that are in the program, do they go to the Hiawatha Valley Center?
Oh, no,
Or they come here?
We have found that it's much better for the counselors to come to us. And before, when the students had to drive to their counselor, or drive to see the mental health counselor, they were missing school to go. They were missing their class while they were having counseling. They were missing school when they were coming back. Now we've got the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Counselor comes in the afternoons. She works with the school to make sure that the student isn't missing class, so she arranges it so it's during a study hall, or she's here until, I think she was here until 4:30 tonight, 4:30 or 5 tonight, so she does after school as well.
Are these kids having counseling outside of school privately from their own provider? Or is this their last chance, like this is their catch-all, or?
I am not sure what they're doing on their own outside of school. I do know that this is something that we have found that we needed to.
I mean, is there a connection that we can make, like our current counselor can make with an outside, then lining up the student with a private?
That's what you said she's working on, right?
Well,
working on
she's
that.
looking at that. We do have private counselors that come in there's one from Athena, and there's one that, I don't know the name of her company, but it's pet therapy, so she comes in with her dog.
I mean, that, Ms. Samota's talking to people about that to find out of what we were getting to cover this 99,000, that it may change that dollar amount that we need. Are you saying with all of that, we still need this? What I'm wondering is if she's finding out other options, when she does find out if these private insurance companies may cover some of this cost, if that's possible, what do we need to do to make sure that these kids are taken care of?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's,
Right, but
you know, if
we're looking into that, but it's one of those, is this where we allow Hiawatha Valley Mental Health to come into the school, but if we're not part of the grant, would we say, you need to, Hiawatha Valley Mental Health works with the student and with the student's family with that insurance payment? That's not, our counselors don't work with private insurance. And so we wouldn't ask Mrs. Sabota to work with somebody else's private insurance company.
no, but would she talk to the students and the parents to align them?
Yeah.
And just say, this is the forum to get.
This is where we're at. Just sit down with the student and the parents and say, okay, here's the situation. Things have changed. The state took 100 grand from us. We don't have 100 grand in our pockets, you know, but it may be possible for you, your private insurer may cover this cost. Can you contact them and see if it will?
And that would.
I mean, that's really all she can do.
Right.
But at the same time, we need to make sure these, you know.
We would then take the chance that it would go to the wayside, that parent or guardian would. I'm with you. That in a perfect.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where the board approved having to be part of this grant. And so that's why I'm bringing it up, because if we're not going to be, this is the cost.
Well, the grant's gone, so.
No, there's still a small part of the grant, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because if we choose to still maintain our small part of that grant, it's going to be this amount out of our pocket that it will cost us to maintain that and to still be part of that grant.
Is that grant tied into anything else?
No, it's just for this. It's just not covering anything else, and that's
So-
why this would be our cost.
Then we would nullify it if we decide we're not gonna pay the 27.5.
Right, and so that's
What you're
why
saying, yeah.
that's why we're discussing it right now. So next, at the first meeting in June, there will be an action item as far as getting out of the grant with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health.
What are the other schools doing, like La Crescent? Are they going to Gunderson Mental Health or anything?
And most of this, and that's something that I will find out. I'm not sure what the other schools, I can't imagine that they would be able to afford these types of rates. So I will find out what they're doing too.
And maybe there's something we can do as a group on the side. You know, maybe we can get our portion of the grant and do something with these other schools. And
How much of the grant is left?
She
didn't give you that.
No, she didn't give us that. She just said this is what, in
That's what we're
figuring
stuck
out,
with,
yes.
That's
So if we don't take the grant, it would be more out of our pocket, is what you're saying at the end of the day. If we say,
No, if we choose to stay with Hiawatha
right,
Valley
but I'm saying
Mental Health,
if we choose not to,
if we
then it
choose
would be
not
more,
to, then we
maybe.
have to find
Then we get
Something.
something, yes. Or we could, have them, let them still come in, however, it would be like any other private contractor.
The meters run it, baby.
Because we do allow the private contractors to come in, we don't pay anything for the private contractors, we just give them a space so they can do a counseling session with the students, and then those private contractors work with the students individually and with the parents as far as getting the insurance to bill. But it's a lot to take on, but I also don't
so when
want
are we
the,
gonna have to make this decision? June, what?
Would it be asking too much to have Mrs. Sabota address this subject at our next meeting, our second meeting of May? Is that?
This is the second meeting in May.
Oh, I'm
First meeting
sorry.
in June.
Oh, shoot. So we don't have time. Okay.
Right now, we don't really have a lot of information. We don't know what
I would
other
love to hear
schools
her
are doing.
opinion on it.
We don't know what the other schools are doing, but that's,
Would be good to
I'm
find
not
out.
sure what
That'd be
other,
nice to
Are you
know.
comfortable?
I know we need to have counseling services available for our students, and I'm not sure if all the students have the type of insurance that would cover this. And so that does make me nervous. However, I also know that we don't have the 100,000 to stay in the grant.
Does those students that would be on like Minnesota Care, does that, I mean, if you fall to a basic, I'm wondering if that's covered with that. Is anyone an expert on health insurance? I mean, that's what I'm saying, if Crystal has an idea of what we're up against, if she feels like the odds of these students connecting privately outside, if that's just the odds are slim to none, then that's something we need to be aware of. If she feels optimistic of making that connection and.
Except I don't, as I said before, it's not Crystal's responsibility to know about what the
You
insurance
can't
that
really
the
get
kids
involved
are
in the
on.
private insurance.
And so to
All
be
she can do
asking,
is inform the parents of the change
right,
that's coming. And basically, the board has to decide whether or not, if it doesn't happen, we would have to be ready to pay out $100,000 to maintain these students. Or we just let it go, and these students don't get the counseling.
So I think counseling is really important, don't get
Oh,
me
I know,
wrong,
I'm-
but if you just take a step back, so what's our revenue per student? This is for 7 kids. We can't afford to spend more on counseling than we make in revenue for the kid. I mean,
No, I know,
it's
that's
just, it's outside of the realm of what we can do as a school. I think we kind of need to draw the line. You know, if it's gonna cost us $15,000 for one kid, that's,
So you're saying her
and let's
just.
say we get 7,000 in revenue from the state, I'm making a number,
Yeah.
is that
yeah,
approximate?
that's
And
close.
it costs us double that just to provide the counseling services for them? It doesn't make, I mean, given, I think it's very important, but we need to
So
figure out a cheaper way or tone it back or help them get the services somewhere
Right.
else.
Yeah,
So next year, when this referral is made, would the referral be made to Mrs. Sabota? Or is it
well,
made
that's
to
just
you?
one of those, if we are making a referral saying that you need to do this, then we're on the hook financially for it.
Okay, so we won't make that referral anymore.
Right.
Hey, just spell it out for me. If someone else, if we're not giving out the invitation for it, then it's not gonna be an issue. I'm saying if the parent or teacher comes to us saying, I think this student needs this, okay?
Right.
And we just say, I'm sorry, we don't have that available, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, if we were making, we wouldn't make that referral. If we knew that it wasn't there.
It seems like this is borderline medical.
No, it's very,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crossing the line of what we
Yeah.
can, what we have a capability, and we're trying to provide it, but
We are
but it's got the
definitely,
expense of the medical,
Right.
right?
we are definitely trying to provide it, and it's one of those things that the board had an action item to become part of this and to provide it. And so that's why if we're
So now
not
we have
going to
make
do
a
it, we need to
decision
have
if
an
we're gonna
action.
Continue it or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't know how much the grant was gonna be.
Well, originally, when we got involved with it, it was covering all of
It was
it.
a while ago, things have changed,
Mhm.
so.
And going, you said that it was a special sort of person that could provide these service, our chances if we posted for it, we wouldn't get any.
Well, we would be looking for, it's basically the same type of, licensure minus a few letters that we're looking for the elementary school. For the elementary council, the elementary social worker, some of those might have some of the same letters might not have the LCSW.
So if we could get somebody for, we're already paying for somebody in the elementary school and we have to pay more to get the extra licensure or whatever, or we even have to pay 50 or 60,000, again, throwing out numbers, don't know that that's what it would be, but if we had to pay that, but then all of a sudden we could serve 20 kids instead of 7, you know, or if they could share, I mean, I just wonder if it's
Yeah,
worth
maybe more cost effective to
posting.
find somebody.
When we're looking at that high school, the elementary social worker, we can, look, if somebody has their Master of Social Work and their LCSW, the Licensed Clinical Social Worker, we can give an extra nod to that person because that's the type of licensure that's
We
needed
need for
here,
this.
besides the school social worker license through Pellsby.
So did the board, and I missed a couple meetings a while back, but did the board approve an elementary social worker? I know at the,
You approved the
Online.
posting for it.
Posting of it.
oh, okay, because I know online we also
Right.
approved the posting of social workers, so, okay.
So it'd be nice if we could find somebody that could cover both those positions in grade school. That would be the ultimate, even if it was a little bit more, you know, than what we were
Do you have to
planning.
modify the posting to say, you know,
Preferred or,
preferred or recommend, you know, for
Would like to.
having the having the licensed social worker, the extra designation, preference will be given to individuals with that.
We would need to modify the posting.
Could we do that? Because if we get somebody,
yeah, I would say let's do that.
I mean, we are gonna have to make the decision before this happens, but
Right.
regardless, the need is clearly there. So could we modify the posting to see if we, to see what happens?
I would say we just have to modify it.
How many hours a week did you say that they,
7.5
a week?
a week.
But if we had someone,
Everybody's in the same boat, why can't we share?
That's what I said earlier, we could find
If
somebody.
so-
Schools with
Yeah.
5 other schools
Yeah.
or 4 other schools.
Right,
and then we optimistically hope that it's covered.
But our portion would be this,
Consider
and
how much
it's,
we can work.
$98,000.
from finding this out
Unless we
to
find someone.
doing
that
the
can do
research
all
to
of it.
find out how many students we actually have and then to get the information about how much time each of the clients are actually getting. All of that took time, and so I just got that yesterday as far as the amount of time each one was getting. So now I can start doing
Talking
the
to those.
research with the other schools as far as what they're doing. And then I can talk to them about the fact that I know how many hours we need here, how many hours do you need? So is there a way of,
But if we hire somebody ourselves, and we only need them 1 day a week, it's not gonna cost us $2,000 or $20.
No, but they would be doing another part of, their job wouldn't just be this. We're
Unless we
looking,
shared them with
but we
somebody
could
else.
outsource
Right.
them.
And if everybody needs this, it seems to me we should be able to come up with a shared thing.
Yeah, once you talk to the other schools. So my thoughts were alter the posting and then talk to the other schools, see what they come up with. Kind of bring some more ideas to the table. We don't have to make our decision till the end of June.
right,
So we have try to get that to us before the first meeting in June. And if we had to get a meeting prior to that, you know, or some type of discussion, maybe we can do that. You think that would be possible?
yeah.
And right
It's
now,
just-
it's kind of, we know enough to be dangerous, but we don't know much else, you know? And we can throw out ideas all day and it may come up, somebody may go, oh yeah, this is what we're gonna do, why don't you guys jump on board? We're like, oh, perfect. What is it? You know, you take our grant money and we'll all just pool it and
How
come
do
up
they
with somebody that can
calculate
do
that
this.
2,700 a day?
Well, if you see that they've had grants since 2008 and it's, in the last 3 years, it's been almost entirely grant funded. And so I'm not sure how much the grants have improved.
Well, how much of that is administrative and all that stuff?
That seems like a lot of money for,
I
if you're looking at getting a person for that kind of money
don't
a
know those
day.
answers.
Been
I'm sorry.
nursing those grants.
So, yeah, I'm sure.
Do those grants come to us or do they come to
No, it
Hiawatha Valley?
goes right to Hiawatha Valley,
Okay,
but
that's what I
we are one of the
Valley.
schools
Up to-
on the
80/20.
grant application.
80/20.
That's what it
If
says.
7,
80% administration, 20%.
there are 7.5 hours delivered, let's call it just FaceTime or
No, it's all
counseling time?
face to face.
Okay. How many additional hours are required for the paperwork? Because obviously these programs require a lot of paperwork.
I don't know that. I know that Hiawatha Valley does a lot of counseling in Winona. And I'm not sure what other schools have Hiawatha Valley Mental Health in their schools too. So I need to find that out.
No, a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Any other
but
questions on that? If you have, you should send them to Ann, so she can get them all collected. And then we'll talk more at the next meeting. Anybody have any other questions yet? Okay. Thanks, Ken. Student Workforce Solutions, Michaeline, Eugene.
Well, we attended a meeting there in Caledonia, and the businesses, they did a survey, and some of the businesses said that they're willing to do classroom speakers, do tours and field trips to their businesses, do job shadowing, few internships, mentorships. So there's a lot of opportunities there presented, just for us to get a framework to get this to working with both of them.
Yeah, all I would add is that this is just to keep you informed on the partnerships discussion. I think Jean and Todd and Corinne went to a meeting that was held here in Houston that I was not able to go to. That was all educators. The meeting that Jean and I attended in Caledonia, there were no educators, it was all businesses. And the first meeting was educators and businesses. And so now they're trying to figure out how to make the connects between what is needed. The businesses spoke quite loudly about wanting to have partnerships with the schools and being frustrated with their ability to do it. And the schools have certainly, it was presented that schools want this very much too. So we talked about things like, raising awareness at an earlier age, maybe 6th grade, and then building some of the presentations and job shadowing and apprenticeships. It's something that you and Todd are gonna have to work with, but I don't know what the next meeting will be. We're just keeping you aware that there's a lot of discussion going on.
And we've had different people from different businesses coming in and talking to the 8th grade. And so it's Fastenal came over.
Three of the people there were from businesses right here in Houston.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Even.
The robotics folks over there, they're very interested. Robotics has been one of the things, manufacturing has been one of the connections that they feel has been an important connection, but there are others.
Robotics is, the whole program is really based on building relationships with businesses, getting them to sponsor you, but also getting their help too. So in-kind donations or getting flex craft material or asking for their help with design or ideas. So it's really, like if you look at the really good teams, they have sponsors year after year and grow their relationships with businesses and with colleges. And you're kind of judged based on that for certain awards.
So who is the point person at Houston for things like job shadowing and tours and that kind of thing?
Well, Todd and or Crystal
Okay.
are the point people.
So more to come on that, you said, Michael?
Yeah, just, I mean, unless you had questions where it's still there's not been a specific plan of action made yet, but I think there'll be another meeting, so.
Houston County has Courtney Berge that is really serving as kind of our point person to try to be a central cog holding the whole thing together.
some of the duties were, they said she was maxed out though, and so, there's this woman from La Crosse area Manpower who has built lots of relationships between schools and businesses, and we are part of their service area, and she is going to be reaching out and taking an inventory, auditing what schools have, what businesses are willing, and what schools, what they have in place, and so they're trying to get Courtney some help, and then that Brian,
Cashman.
Yeah.
he led this meeting, and he seems.
Courtney was sick, right?
Yeah, Courtney wasn't there, but, so that was, so they're having some other people get involved and other people start to work, to create an action plan, so.
Okay.
Just as a business owner, I think there's a couple different levels. I mean, I think Bob did a tour tonight, maybe for the culinary group, and that's fun. It's fun for them to see the donut machine and coffee and stuff like that. So there's kind of that introduction, and then there's the training. So you might train the kids in, and it's a lot of work for the businesses.
It is.
And then the next stage is the reward from that, where they can actually work and be productive. And so from my perspective, tours are easy. It's that second step where you have to train them in on everything. And if that's all the further it goes, I think businesses are gonna get frustrated. You have to take it, in my opinion, to the third step, where the kids are able to help the businesses.
Well, there was a lot of the discussion, when you say, Jean, we talked a lot about how to create curriculum that created a certificate that the student could actually take with them. I mean, I know it's not a diploma, but it's a certificate that they have spent certain time doing certain things that they might present to an employer and say, I've studied, I've done this, this, and this, as far as, being serious or wanting to move into the business. So
And those certificates were in the AASA, so the American Academy of School Administrators. That's one of the indicators of being career ready, is to have one of those certificates of completion in some type of vocational or work program.
But it's hard work to develop a curriculum. And so they were looking at the curriculum that was developed by the group in Spring Grove. Didn't they have a curriculum? In Winona there is one. So we're looking, they were gonna research and provide a template for what does a curriculum look like, share that with schools. So I think there's some good conversation.
The individual from Mabel says it doesn't do any good to come into a lunchroom, set up a table,
And just
and explain their.
Yeah.
She says she's done that, and she never got it. The only time you'll get a student to stop if you got a dish of candy or something, and pick up a piece of candy, and that's it.
But I think you're right, Mimi. We have to be intentional about it, and we have to build it so it can go through the various levels to be something that's tangible for the students and the businesses.
Right, because are the kids gonna wanna work there in the summer, for instance, and if, that might be important to the businesses, because they might invest a lot in training and,
That's right.
and then they don't work there for them, so.
So Todd is following up with the people on it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Something we've been talking about for quite a while, so I mean, that's, hopefully get off the ground. Thanks, Michaeline. Thanks, Jean. Okay, any other questions? Okay, district technology.
On tonight's consent items, you approved the resignation / retirement of Becky Fairbeck. Life events are such that she does not feel she can work any longer, but that also means that we have a position that's open, and we need to look at the best way to fill that. I've talked to Joe Rusky at Dependable Solutions in Becky's absence. We have had Jennifer Gallagher, the tech integrationist from Dependable, and he has let us just kind of tap into Jen without charge. If we want to continue with that, it would be, he would think about 1 day a week. It would be about $30,000. However, that leaves several things that were part of Becky's job description not covered. And right now, the people that have been kind of helping out with it are tapped out. We do need to have a point of contact here for Infinite Campus and for calendar creation in there and rolling things over and making sure that all the upgrades have been done. We do need to have a point of contact here for Our School Today. Our website, the website is this summer undergoing ADA compliance, and there's upgrades and updates, and we need to have a point of contact here that can actually address that and then really work at revamping our website so it is ADA compliant and everything is still functional after Our School Today goes through the change. And for Schoology here, even if we did the dependable, that's just for the instructional trainer and helping the teachers 1 day a week. As far as the maintenance on Schoology, that's not something that the person from dependable would do. So I would think that we would need somebody here full-time for this position the way we did with Becky. In talking to other districts, a lot of the districts have a teacher on special assignment doing the task. One that we had before was Jason Ludwigson. He's now at La Crescent doing it as a TOSA position. Spring Grove has a teacher helping out with it. Rushford has their AD/tech integrationist is Dan Bieberdorf. That's all I could think of was Bob Bieberdorf's child. So Dan is the.
So we gonna post for this job? Is that what
Well,
we're
that's, do we want to post it, and that's why I'm asking, do we want to post it as a TOSA, or we want to do an external post for someone else?
So can you remind me of the history here, because I think it gets, I'm slightly confused, I can't remember how it all worked, but we hired a tech integrationist and then we tried to hire somebody else as a half-time tech person, and then when we couldn't find somebody, then we hired dependable? Or how did that, can you explain how that all worked? Did we try to find the tech person first and then we couldn't, and then we got the integrationist?
No, we had the integrationist before. Jason Ludwigson was here as a tech integrationist. So Jason was here and then he took the job in La Crescent, and so we posted for his position and got Becky.
But we went along, didn't we go a while without an integrationist?
I didn't think Jason was hired as an integrationist. I thought he was tech support. Didn't he come on after Eric Jervis was?
I don't think we had a tech integrationist. I think we decided we needed
No,
one.
that's if you look back, Jason was our tech integrationist.
First one.
A tech integrationist before Tara Thompson was a tech integrationist.
Yeah, I think we had a couple-year break without one.
Yes, when Tara was cut, there was a couple of year break, and then we realized we needed to have a tech integrationist, and we got Jason, and then Jason went to La Crescent, and then we got back.
Also then, separate from that, looked for tech.
The tech person, tech director, when Scott was here, Scott was the IT director, and then we looked for someone else to fill that position, and we realized that of the people we interviewed, there wasn't really anyone that could handle all of the components that went into a school, and so that's when we interviewed both Dependable Solutions and CCS, and Dependable was both more economical and more willing to be on site, and they didn't charge mileage.
But I think our posting was for halftime as well.
The tech integrationist?
No, the tech, I think somehow, I don't think
It was, no, it was for halftime it was half the year, because the person left in December, and so it was for January through, it was a half a year position, and then the next position would have started in July 1.
When is Becky's resignation effective?
15th.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
So, my 2 cents. I think we should post and see what we get. I think it should be full-time. And I think if we get somebody who can do integrationist, great. If we get a tech person, great. I think anything we can get would be good. I think it's good to have somebody in-house that understands our technology. It's scary to have it all with another company. I know dependable is dependable, but let's say they go out of business next month, you know, where are we? It would be nice to have somebody here helping to write our technology plan, helping to provide guidance to us, helping to do research on new computers and replacements and all that stuff. And I know we get a package with dependable, but I think if whatever this person's expertise is in, it's just less that we need to use dependable for, if we get a good candidate.
But IT and a tech integrationist are two very different roles.
I don't know, when you just said tech integrationist, you said making a website, you said making it be compliant. To me, that's a tech person, not an integrationist. So I understand the integrationist is training the teachers and how to use tools, but to me, a tech person can do that too. I guess it's just my definition. I do training all the time and I don't consider myself an integrationist. So, but, and if we find somebody who can't do that, then we could use dependable for that piece, because they have one.
It's kind of like what we've been doing.
Well, I
So-
think you should post for it, and
As a
Tech
teacher
integrationist.
integration, as a TOSA, because that's what,
Well, I know,
If-
no,
if
I would
we
like
have
to post
people-
outside, just as a TOSA. Does that just go to the teachers to see if somebody wants to do it? You know, or I think we should just
Yeah.
post as a tech position and see.
if a teacher applies, could we put the teacher on a TOSA?
Well,
Is
how
that
many
concluded?
hours,
Yeah.
the question then is, how many hours are they gonna be doing the,
Oh, no, a teacher on special assignment means that is their special
Full
assignment,
job.
that would be their full job. But then they would be able to stay on the teacher master agreement,
Right.
and they would stay on the seniority list.
If we
So-
had somebody else apply that was extremely qualified and
that's
very
would be my
technical,
concern. Okay,
can
what
we
if
choose
have
them over the teacher that isn't as qualified? Or now are we bound to take?
To hiring a teacher?
No, if it's posted outside, we would take the most qualified candidate. But what I'm saying is, if the most qualified candidate is a teacher, would
Then we'd have to
the
make it a
board be
TOSA.
willing to have a teacher on special assignment fill that position?
So then what are we gonna do with their position that they're filling right now? We'd have to hire somebody for that position. So then we're emptying a spot here to fill this spot here.
Except, the tech integrationist is a tougher spot to fill.
So going back
So-
to, I mean, it's hard to say what we're gonna get. I would prefer to have a technology person that understands technology and computers and all that and not be a teacher. Somebody who wants to stay in the role for 15 years, let's say, where I feel like the teacher might be doing it for a couple years and then go back to teaching. I don't know what the time limits are on that, but if we needed a tech integrationist, I think that might be great for the TOSA. So if we get a really strong tech candidate that can't do the integrationist portion, then maybe we could have the teacher, the TOSA, do that. Or can we do part-time TOSAs? Is that what you just said? It has to be full-time?
Well, no, it wouldn't be a
Most of-
full-time. That's what my concern would be, because again, because Becky, she seemed to be busy all the time. And there's a lot going on. And if you're gonna have this person take on, you know, the Schoology training and all that other stuff,
Except that's
You
why
know what I
she was
mean?
busy full-time.
that's what I'm getting
Yeah.
at. With all that stuff going on, that's gonna be a full-time position in my mind.
Right.
To do it efficiently and all
Yeah.
this website updates,
And that was-
monitoring, all
yep.
that is gonna take a full-time position.
Mhm.
So if we just put it out to everybody and see what falls, and then, you know, obviously at that time we have to make a decision. If it's a teacher that is in the system and that's the best candidate we get, maybe that's what we would go with until we find somebody 2 years from now or 3 years from now that may be better, that we have an opportunity to pick up on. I don't know. You know?
With an integration, it's really vital that the person understands what's going on with instructional strategies and what's going on in the classroom, because
Well, that's why I feel that the teacher
purpose of
can
it.
bring something to the table with that knowledge. But at the same time, the technology part of it and being able to do all the other parts of it, that's an important part too. And I can see how it'd be hard to find somebody, but we need somebody, so we're gonna have to post for it either way. Michaeline, you're,
Well, I agree with, I'm not clear what we need for, I would prefer we have in-house somebody who understands our technology. I understand that we need somebody with I think it's helpful to have a teaching background to help teachers learn how to use the tools. But shouldn't the District Technology Advisory Committee figure out what percentage of time we need for things that are more tech and things that are more integrationist, to find out if one person can do all that, or, you know, what's the TOSA gonna do, and what are the needs for technology? And I know Dependable Solutions is covering them, but I still think we need to audit or have what does it take to do Infinite Campus? What does it take to do Our Schools Today? What does it take to do, the Schoology, the setting it up, having, maintaining the server, maintaining the infrastructure so that it can run. So I think the Technology Advisory Committee probably should weigh in on this. I mean, I think that's why we
But you
have
said
it.
there is a demonstrated need for a full-time integrationist.
I feel there is.
Okay, then we should post for it, and if a TOSA person is the best qualified candidate or applicant, go that route.
And what's the job description gonna be?
What was Becky's?
Seeking a full-time technology integrationist, knowledge of Infinite Campus or a similar student management system is preferable. The applicant will also need a working knowledge of Google Docs, website maintenance and creation, Facebook, SharePoint, and the ability to train adults in the use of these applications. Excellent communications and problem-solving skills are a must. Hardware knowledge of desktop and server computers, LCD projectors, and smart boards is beneficial, and educational background is preferred. That was the title for a replacement employee to replace Jason Ludwigson.
so is there things that we need to add to that or change on that?
Our Schoology would probably be
Yep.
important to be sure, because we went to that for our LMS.
When are you having a technology meeting?
So are you
The
saying that
29th.
you said that
29th
Becky
of this
got busy because of Schoology, so all of these things were not enough to employ a person in that position?
No,
Because-
it was, Schoology was one more thing that was added.
Okay, but you said,
Yeah.
okay, but I understood you to say she was busy because of Schoology.
No,
So-
she was busy because of all of these things. You can't just,
So it sounds like we need two people. We need somebody to do that, and we need somebody full-time for Schoology.
I don't think we need somebody full-time for Schoology, but maintaining it and instructing on it is a big part of the job, but I don't think it is the,
We don't know the percentage though, and it may change because they're just getting involved in it right now.
there's
From my
the
understanding.
ebb and flow. For Infinite Campus, it's setting it up with the calendars and the rollover. And so with Infinite Campus, there's times that's more work and times where that person doesn't really have to do anything. With Our School Today, when we're switching over to the ADA compliant, there will be times where there's more work and there's times where there really won't be much to do other than to put one or two things there or to make sure that teachers know how to add something, or if teachers want to give them something to add, so that it's really a website that does reflect what's happening here and can have that accolade section, can have the information that parents and community want to see with that website. That takes continual effort to continue to update it and to make sure it's maintained.
So my question is, the 29th, there's a technology meeting. Right now, I feel like that needs to be tweaked. It needs to be adjusted, some stuff needs to be added. Do you feel it would be a benefit for the meeting on the 29th, which is like 12 days away, for you to tweak it the way you want it? Is there anything that the group, in that group, the technology group, would like to see something for this else added to that list? Or maybe you can send it out to them. I don't know what else you guys been talking about.
It's getting the district technology plan done.
Right. And is this person going to be involved in that, correct?
Correct.
So being that that's a big part of what they're working on, it may be, as Mike Lean said, beneficial for them to have put their 2 cents in to make sure that we have everything on the list, or everything that we need for this person on the qualifications.
So wait with the posting until after that?
It's just a suggestion. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm one person of 7 here, you know.
Well, I think you could probably do the posting, because I mean, we gotta fill her position, what we had. And, I mean, you could say, these are some of the packages that the person needs to
I
be
mean, can we
knowledgeable.
change it after?
We can
post
always
it?
say there's others.
Well, there's gonna be an interview, you're gonna get people apply. The majority of this posting isn't changing.
Yeah.
The thing I would say on there is software like such and such. I think
Yeah.
a lot of tech people are wonderful and they might not have experience in Infinite Campus and therefore don't apply because it looks like it's a requirement, like understanding Excel. Like that could be a valid requirement, you could eliminate someone, but somebody could probably learn Infinite Campus pretty quickly. So I hate to, sometimes tech people don't apply when they see specific software that they really don't know. So, just my 2 cents. I think I know there's some people in the community that should have applied last time that didn't because they read all the software and they didn't know it all. And so,
It says Infinite Campus or similar student management software, doesn't it? Or
It just said Infinite Campus, but you could.
Well,
it could
learning
be changed
management
to say
system,
that.
I mean, Schoology is just one of them. I mean,
Schoology is just one.
Blackboard that they use online is another one. That's still just a learning management system, so you should say educational learning management system. You then can
Right.
make those.
Yeah, but Schoology and Infinite Campus are
Yeah, they're
Totally
completely
different.
different
They're
things.
totally-
One's a
One's a
learner
learning
management
management
system,
and
one's a
one's a-
student
Right.
management
Yeah.
system.
but if somebody knows computers in and out and networking
How
and
about
has done all
security?
this security and they know all this other stuff, but they've never done Infinite Campus, they shouldn't apply, or
Well,
do we
then
want them still to
change the
apply?
parsing of it, but I think security is important. I think understanding the student, databases and learning management systems and website, that's a lot of stuff.
It's gonna be hard to find, well, you can't find somebody who is an expert in all of those areas.
No.
So, and we want people to apply even if they know some of them, right? Because there's more than enough work there.
Right, the concern would be not getting everybody to apply that would be qualified, or then some, and not somebody look at it and go, well, heck, I don't know what that is, and not apply, but yet they could probably pick it up pretty easily. So I'm kind of getting for you guys,
I'm
right?
sure I'm oversimplifying it, but I'm sure if they spent a week or two, reading everything there is about Schoology and attending all the trainings, that they'd probably learn quite a bit in those couple
Schoology would
weeks.
be easier to pick up than Infinite Campus, that's for sure. Infinite Campus is,
Well, I'd say just tweak the post, get it posted, and then when you have your technology meeting, run it by everybody just to make sure you're not missing anything in case. And like Josh said, you're gonna be interviewing the people anyway, and you can go from there. Michael brought up the point of security, that's an important part of it,
Like the main thing is get it posted.
But if you get it posted, you don't wanna lose out on somebody that may be looking now. Because the end of the school year is coming up, there may be somebody in the school district near us that's
Well,
looking to move.
when is this position to start though? The school year is almost out.
Yeah.
Realistically, this person would be looking to start at the start of the school
Probably
year.
Or would they
July,
come on in the summer?
Anytime, probably.
They-
July,
we would like them to come on,
for
well,
sure,
But the
right?
teachers aren't gonna be here.
Yeah, but there's so
Yeah,
much
but
stuff
you
to do to
have
get
you're
ready.
the
right.
website to
Could
get
be
ready
good.
in. I mean, ideally,
New
Yeah.
computers, aren't we getting a whole bunch of them in?
So it'd be immediate.
Or maybe that's
Yeah.
another discussion,
No,
yeah, but I
yeah.
mean, there's always stuff to do.
We might
Yeah.
continue
yeah,
with
well,
what we
that's, I
have.
mean, I wanna make sure it's right before we put
I
it
mean,
out
I know
there,
we
but-
need to post, but we need to, we need to post for what it is that we're looking for without, eliminating good candidates by being too specific.
I think Brent can handle that.
I believe she can, but we have a district technology advisory committee and their voice should be part of the conversation.
Well, you could run it by them, correct, Ren, on the post?
Before the post goes
Yes,
out.
it is a little posting.
Sure.
Any thoughts, ideas? You know, cause
Could you have a technology meeting before?
right now it's set up for the 29th.
29th, we got one set up.
Week and a
Yeah,
half.
could you move it up?
No. It's too hard to get everybody together.
It's hard enough.
They're
to-
It was
trying to
hard
get
enough
the-
to find that date.
And we're trying to get the policy together so that we can vote on it as well, technology.
Okay.
So, put together what you can and run it by them, just, get, if there's any additional changes.
No, the other thing with Becky, since she's gone, she was probably gonna be doing, or we were counting on her doing some of the training for the faculty days. We're gonna have to hire somebody in for that
Jen
now.
Gallagher from Pendle has been coming in and she trained a small group of, she's been training the elementary staff, has been using the sub days that we offered. So I think today might have been the last group, or we've got one more group that's doing a full day because Jen has to come from Prairie du Chien. So she comes for a full day and then they get a sub for the day and sit and get all the training on Schoology, and Jen helps them put all the curriculum that they have right now. So they're loading all of the ELA curriculum and science curriculum onto Schoology, and then this summer we'll be building that. So they know how to do all of that. They get to be quite good at it by the end of that 8-hour day with Jen.
So stuff's getting done. Okay, anything else? Okay, old business, items for discussion and approval. Elementary ITA program.
Okay, the ITA grant with what they would give us, when we said that this was significantly less than what they've offered in the past. They said that we could get a para and then have our ADSYS teachers teach ITA. However, that when we applied for ADSYS and I originally asked about ITA, they said that ITA could not be part of that ADSYS application. And so I know that we can't do that. And we can't have an ITA para without having an ITA teacher. And what they would offer in the grant would not even cover the ITA para. So in looking at that, there is a reading, Orton Gillingham is a evidence and research-based reading solution. There's the Sunday system that's the lesson plans based on Orton Gillingham. Sunday system is researched and evidence-based. We could put that into ADSYS and make sure that all of those students that were in ITA, if they were special ed and we had the Sunday system in special ed, or if they were not special ed and they were in ADSYS, having that Sunday system in ADSYS would make sure that those students have all the foundational reading the Sunday system not only goes over the phonics and the sound identification, but it also gets into fluency and it gets into the written language skill that is the basis of Orton Gillingham. They have found that it is a way to have the students acquire 1.5 years of growth in a year. And that's the evidence base that the students that go through that Sunday system average about 1.5 years of growth in a year. And so that's what we were going to be putting into ADSYS and special ed to address the lack of ITA.
A couple questions. Does a decision need to be made on this tonight for some reason? Or was I not at the last meeting and it was discussed? Was it at the, I don't know.
You weren't at the meeting when we reduced it from the high school.
Yes,
and,
I remember.
yeah, and then Rick was gonna apply and see.
Right, but I'm just, so it sounds like we're getting the response back, so I'm just wondering if we have to vote on it tonight or if we can have time to digest it. Second point to that is, I would like to see like a written proposal, like this is what we have today, this is the teachers performing the duties, there's a lot of ADSYS and all this other stuff, and I feel like we've been here a while already, my head's kind of spinning. And this is how many kids, this is how many are covered by special ed, this is how many aren't, and then this is what I'm proposing, this is how many teachers, this is what the new program would look like, and these aren't covered or they're going to be covered by here, and just I think I need to look at it on paper to understand it.
I can graph it out.
So then we can just kind of talk about.
I know we talked a little bit about it the last time because it was a long discussion, and even seems like we've talked about it for a couple months. As far as costs, what we have available, and that's when we made the decision to eliminate the high school because Todd was going to make a change. Again, if we have to graph it out to make sure everybody has a clear understanding, that's fine. But the main focus, as we all know, is the kids, making sure that the kids are getting taken care of properly and we're not dropping. Agrees to say, so, you know, if Josh, you feel you want to graph it out so you know where the cost is, how we're setting it up.
Well, and maybe you misinterpret. I just want to make sure everybody's covered. But I guess, is it only going to cost us $5,200? I'm confused. I don't know what it's $5,200.
No, that would,
I don't understand like, I know we were applying for the grant and maybe you gave us a handout a while ago that kind of listed it out and you could just update it, but the grant didn't give us anything and now it's going to cost us $40,000 and it's going to serve 32 kids. Or
what did we used to get for the grant?
we got 75 or 70. 70? 70? It was, I think 70 and, what?
That's probably where it started, but it keeps going down every year.
Right, and now this year they were offering 17.
We're closer to 60 now.
60 this year? Okay, and then they were going to offer 17 next year.
But then we have in-kind too. So even though we have grant money of 60, we have to put in another probably 20.
It was 54 out of pocket for us this year.
And next year it would be 17.
17.
No, 17 is what they're offering,
so it's a difference of 54 down to 17.
So it's a difference of 60,000. They gave us 60,000. We pitched in another 54,000. Is that what you're saying, Gwen, right, to cover the cost? So it was 15,000 for the total cost. So instead of getting the 60,000 they gave us this year for the program, next year they're giving us 17,000. So that means we would have to increase ours by another 40-some thousand, $43,000.
And we know we'd need a teacher, and so it would be the total
On
teacher
top of the
salary.
52, we'd have to kick in another.
Right, and the 52 is just to cover the total cost of the para, and then it would be the teacher cost on top of that.
You must have an Excel spreadsheet that already has this in there. Or some sort of sheet of paper. 200. To calculate all that out.
Yeah, she could get that if that's what we want to do, so we have to make sure we're all on the same page.
Is there a different program like IT out there that would be a different grant would be available for, that would reach the same students, or no?
There's,
We just put it under a new.
ADSYS is the other,
But
that's the funding.
In that situation, the teacher is applying that additional education, that additional help. Is that right?
Teachers have to be, paras aren't allowed to teach. Paras cannot teach, yeah.
We don't have, but it's gonna go on to the classroom teacher, since there will not be an IT director.
ADSYS is a intervention teacher. It's not, ADSYS is not the classroom teacher. ADSYS is an intervention, just as ITA is an intervention.
So, but the classroom teacher would then be presenting this to the student, the additional ADSYS.
No, the ADSYS teachers would be.
Oh,
It would be arranging their time to make sure that all of these students are their needs are met.
Oh, so there is ads, yeah, I just have to educate.
I think it'd be better to have it kind of written down, and then I think if
We've got 2 ADSYS teachers.
See how
they
it goes
are
from
already
old to new.
fully
Yeah, that's what I'm
employed,
wondering about is.
right? And now we have something like 30 additional students that they will be responsible for, and they're already maxed out, or am I not understanding?
Within their schedule, I know that there is ability to schedule more than what they're doing.
Okay, how much is the cost of the curricula you were just looking at? You're talking about these reading curricula, what do those cost?
The Sunday system, it's $1,200 per kit, and so then our cost would end up being the, we would get basically 2 kits. It's 1 kit for the primary K2, and then 1 kit for 3 to 6, and then we'd get, so the 2 kits for ADSYS, the 2 kits for special education, so that would be $4,800.
4,800, and then
For the
what
curriculum.
was the Orton, whatever?
That is the Sunday system based on Orton Gillingham.
And then the
And that's per
teachers
year?
are trained in that, or?
Yes, and then we have the training, and the training we can do through staff development dollars.
Okay, so then that our ADSYS teachers would be trained in that curriculum.
The ADSYS teachers would be trained in that curriculum, and the special ed teachers would be trained in that curriculum, yes. And that could be paid for with staff development dollars. Because we're looking for, we don't want any kids to fall through the cracks. So that's why we're looking for what we can do to really make sure that every child's needs are met.
More questions? Gary? Ron?
The implication here is that if you go with the ITA, that it's not going to, it could jeopardize the funding, is that?
If we force the ADSYS teacher to teach using ITA, it would jeopardize our ADSYS funding, yes.
Dean, you have any questions? Mimi, you wanna?
I just wanna see it all, I personally don't wanna vote tonight. I wanna see it laid out and make sure I feel like it's a lot of moving parts, and I don't understand them well enough, and I haven't seen it documented. I just wanna see where all the kids are moving, and where the teachers are moving, and what the costs are, and get a better feel for it, but that's
James, that's
just
something
me.
you wanna?
Yeah, well, with the ITA now, do they use paras? Some?
There are, yes,
So with the ANSYS system, we wouldn't need as many paras, are we saying, or?
we don't have paras with ANSYS. No, it's the teachers are doing the direct teaching.
So that's gonna cut down so that we see that in the spreadsheet or something. there.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm, so
Yeah,
you're
I
saying
see a pencil
teacher,
log guy.
back to Josh's question, it's in the classroom
You
then,
need
or
it,
no,
pencil
it's
log.
teachers outside the classroom that are
It's-
doing it?
The intervention is teachers outside the classroom.
Who's on staff now for ANSYS then?
Matt Shuddy and Hannah Levenick.
Well, that I understand. Thank you.
Yes.
And there's one at the high school.
Yes, Vicki Nelson is at the high school. And that's with ANSYS dollars, and it's not a grant, it's, funding.
But you have to apply for it.
Yeah, it's funding you have to apply for.
So it's kind of like a
But if you,
application for a grant, but it's funding,
If
because
you-
they
if-
could be denied, right? It
right,
could be
but if
denied.
you call it a grant, the people from ANSYS get very upset,
Right,
and
but
that's why,
they can deny it,
right.
if we jeopardize it, for example.
There are other schools that have had their ANSYS funding rescinded. And-
Just go home.
No,
We don't
no,
wanna jeopardize it.
we have,
But I'm getting the feeling there's a few members of the board that would like to have it penciled out, 3, maybe 4.
Well, I think to your first question is, when does this have to be decided on? Like, is there?
What's a cutoff date?
but we do have teachers that need to have job assignments. And so that's,
So what's the date? When do the job assignments has to be?
When are unrequested leaves and all of that? When is deadline?
the probationary teachers are the first meeting in June. And so that's,
We need to have that decided prior to the probationary teachers being.
Well, that means now,
That
because the
means
first meeting
today.
in June.
The ANSYS teachers are realizing that this is possibly that they're gonna have more on their plate. And, cause it's just, you're shifting the workload. It's not, you're not replacing the ITA, you're just shifting it out to other people. That like Tom had said, we just wanna make sure that the kids have their needs met.
So we have to decide tonight, is what you're saying.
Well, we can schedule another meeting, or, I don't know. I mean, we don't have to decide.
We're more or less just voting on terminating ITA, that's, we're gonna say no. When do we say no to the 17,000, the generously offered $17,000 grant? When do we say no to that?
Or did we?
no, that takes board action, and that's,
Cause that's really what we're deciding. Are we just gonna say no and then we're not gonna pick up the rest of it on our dime, so.
Well, I think there are,
right.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, and I think that's a big
Well, that's why we
deal.
have to make the decision before the first meeting in June.
Cause then we
That's
decide if
gonna
we can
change
fit it on the
everybody's
budget,
job.
out of pocket.
Well, I'm pretty good with numbers, and they were running in my head, and I don't have a good feel for what the cost, I mean, without looking at them in a spreadsheet, I don't feel like we truly understand the costs of what we have today and what the new program is and the differences between the two.
Okay.
A lot of numbers were thrown out, but, we need a proposal or a plan written in front of us. Funding is coming from here, and it's gonna cost us X, Y, Z, and it's eliminating 3 positions, and these people are gonna have more work, and I just
What-
don't feel like we know all those details.
What time is your IT meeting on the 29th? Your technology meeting on the 29th?
3:30.
How long does that go? I mean, if we had to have an emergency meeting to get this settled, if nobody's comfortable with passing it tonight.
Well, we could wait until June, and then,
When do we have to say yes or no to the 17,000?
whenever we get around to it.
Seriously?
Before the start.
Before the start of the
Oh.
school.
Yeah, but like you said, our teachers wanna
But
know
the
what's going on.
I'm not worried
Yeah.
about that, Josh, I'm more the teachers.
Okay.
It's
I was
'cause
just
that's
curious
what
if
we
there
have
was
to
a
worry
date
about,
on
the
it.
money's, there. So, this, I just feel like there's not enough people are comfortable with the information we have right now.
Could we not, if this made it, could we not have the proposal A, proposal B, and proposal A has these people on the probationary list, and proposal B has these people, and whatever we act in the meeting, then therefore the probationary list is altered based on that? We act on this first and the probationary list after that?
We could pull probationary off the consent items and put them on as, new business at the end, we could.
Because I mean, there's no,
Then we could
if we
Just roll
choose,
call voted anyway.
Yeah.
if we choose A, it's
So why don't we
got
just-
this
why don't we
effect, if we
just-
choose B, it's got this effect.
Why don't we
and-
just do that?
I can't figure out what
And then we
the are.
can-
It sounds to me like ITA is off the table if it jeopardizes their funding for other things.
No, it's
No,
just how it's
it's just
used
how
in the
it's been
school
utilized.
could jeopardize it. but
We
if
we can't push ITA
So,
onto ADS.
Why don't you
Oh, gotcha.
do up a sheet on how it would,
Because Ron's bringing up a question, so because with Ron's question, I'm now wondering if everybody knows what we are really discussing. It's with the grant, you're basically voting whether or not to keep ITA or to remove ITA.
Okay, so then we gotta need to know the cost of that.
And the cost of keeping ITA would be a full teacher's salary plus an additional $5,200 for the para.
And why do we have to have a para?
Because the grant.
because the grant
ITA
requires
it.
Yeah.
the para.
And
so-
that teacher is busy full-time with ITA.
30 students. So, yeah. It's big, the class.
But your point though is if we refuse the 17, that's less than a para. If,
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, could one teacher take that on?
It's,
But
the grant
you
said
can't
they
do that.
have to have.
They have to have a
the
para.
I know, but if we refuse the grant, can't we still use the ITA? Because the grant, right? We
Well,
can
then
still
you-
use the
then you-
program.
You could use you just wouldn't get the grant, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're not getting the grant, but you're still using the program.
The ITA program and just paying the teacher out of your pocket to do that.
Because the 17 is a more pain in the butt than it is. It's lost its value. So, okay, so what I'm saying is then we don't have to follow their guidelines if we don't take their 17. So, I mean, then the
Well,
question.
what I'm saying is if we're not with the grant, then we can put in Sunday system, which is an evidence-based program. It has been shown to have a very sound effect.
Okay.
And you're saying ITA is not evidence-based?
Just less money. It's one less position.
It's not evidence-based according to MDE.
According to MDE, it's not evidence-based nor is it research-based.
But if we've been having success with it, is that all the evidence we need? I mean, that's I don't know that, I mean, I think we've had success with the program and we're kind of dumping it for something I personally have just heard about tonight. I don't know that I know anything about the program. So I kind of like to do some research outside the board table to ask some people what their opinions are, you know, because I've never sat in on an ITA session and I don't know the results. I don't know, you know, if there's some kids that have been really helped by it that could say how, you know, I don't know, but I guess at the end of the day, I don't really care what MDE says. If it works for us, then we should continue to do it. If we think this other program is leaps and bounds better, then, but I don't really care if one is labeled evidence-based and one isn't. But that's just my opinion.
So, again, should we just table it till the second? and get more information rolling on again. Because there's still more discussion going on here, and I don't know that we would get anything done yet tonight if we continue it.
Well, and I think Josh maybe proposed an option C, which
So-
is not take the grant and just fund it ourselves.
Cause we essentially would be anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
we
we
don't
kept
have-
it, we'd be fine.
Then we don't have to follow their guidelines of having a para. I guess we just have to decide if that's the better alternative than adding, workload onto ADSYS or, and I fully hear Corinne saying that this is a good program that would be integrating. Is there any lap over between the students being helped with our Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Program and our ITA? Just saying.
I have no idea,
Anyway.
because with our,
So-
the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health, I just know client 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We'd be okay if
So,
the legislators would
All
pass
the
the
problem
money,
with these
but
grants
that
is they go
sounds like a no right now.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
We constantly
We
go
need
away.
it,
Okay.
'cause then we'd have money.
So we're gonna table it?
Somebody makes a motion. Haven't heard one.
I haven't heard a motion, so I guess we'll table it to the next meeting. Moving right along. Lead testing.
So I was at my son's baseball game, so I missed the beginning and I actually left it and they came and left. But can I ask a couple things? Please? So I don't have to stay till 9 while you guys talk.
Yeah, she's late for
Yeah.
public
We don't
comment.
have to answer, we can hear.
Okay, we can hear what you say.
So I guess I was just wanted to bring up a complete different subject than what you guys are talking about. Soccer. Can we get a bus drives our kid to soccer, please? That would be very helpful if we had a bus ride to and from soccer in Caledonia. I know they do it for other sports, and it would be very helpful for parents if they did it for soccer also. Just to throw that out there. The other thing too is I've been told my son doesn't qualify for summer school, and I'm confused as to what you need to use to qualify for summer school, because he really struggles with math and he's not really getting better at it. In the last 3 math, what do they call them, assessments, or it's not really, it's something else that they utilize as a word. He's actually remained neutral, and I've been told that it's not used to get them to progress, just not to lose anything. But if he's only getting a 63 and he's supposed to be at almost 80 at this level, is he really progressing? So I was wondering about what the limitations are on summer school and how I can get my 7th grader into it, because I really would like to.
Okay,
And
we can look into it.
when I lived in La Crosse, everyone could go to summer school, so it was really easy. Just sent them. You didn't have a qualification.
Did you talk to Mr. Lumberg yet, Val?
I did, and I've been told he doesn't qualify. So I don't understand why. So that's why I'm here.
Well, we'll get you the answers.
Yeah, because I
Do
mean
you have your
he's
information there?
struggling, so I don't know how struggling doesn't qualify.
Right.
So,
Can you
And your name is?
I'm Valerie Tron,
TRAUN.
UN. Yep. My son is Lawrence Tron.
We can get you the information, we'll have her send it off to you.
Okay.
And it might be that he doesn't qualify yet, and he will at the
Well,
end
he's
of
got
the
an
year.
IEP, so I don't understand. Like I thought I've done everything to get him where he needs to be.
Well-
So I don't know.
And I couldn't tell you right. sitting
Yeah, we
right
don't
here,
have
so-
that criteria. in front of us either.
Nor did I expect you
Sign
to.
it
So
Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing it.
Thanks for
And
bringing
did
it
you
up.
sign the sheet?
I didn't know there was one.
Yep.
I snuck in.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Val.
And so you know, when soccer started, we didn't have the official agreement with
We can
Caledonia,
talk.
which we do now.
Okay.
Lead testing. Plan.
The lead testing, we've already passed the policy. By July 1, schools have to, the school boards need to approve the model plan. IEA has the model plan. It has the 3 sections that we need for our testing. And so we could pass this, model plan. I was hoping that legislatively they would have come up with something. They don't have anything yet. However, Dave Thompson is our health and safety rep from the Southeast Service Co-op. He had been the superintendent at Stewartville. That's maybe where you've heard the name before. He said that since we've got policy 807, we don't have to pass a new policy, but the board has to approve the plan. This is the plan that IEA has given us, and they would like the go-ahead to use this proposal for our plan.
Do we need a motion to?
Did the Health and Safety Committee look at this?
Yes, yes.
That
The
was
Health
where
and
we
Sa-
asked,
Yep.
we asked them to look at it, and they,
The Health and Safety looked at it. It covers all of the aspects that are required by statute. And it goes a little beyond it. It does name who is going to be responsible for each thing, how it's going to be, how the data is going to be maintained, and also how the data is going to be disseminated.
Move to approve.
Scary.
Second.
Discussion?
are we electing all the full plan that included the metals, the radium, and the lead? So it's the full thing?
We can approve that for the full spectrum for this first time, and then in 5 years, when we need to test for lead again, then I'm sure that legislatively, they will have changed once again, and then we will have a new plan that we will approve.
I would ask that the motion clarify that this is a one-time and it will be revisited upon the anniversary date of this
The requirement? Okay. 5 year.
5 years.
Is that good to you, Gary? Okay. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Elementary camera additions.
This was covered, actually Gary talked about this from the facility meeting. It's over the 10,000, so therefore it needs board approval.
Now, this is what was the last part? I'm sorry.
It's over
The-
$10,000, so therefore it needs board approval.
So Houston Elementary cameras addition. We talked about it last meeting, we have a motion to approve the.
These are for the cameras that will go on, will show the, community court and the gym entrance. So it's also out onto the playground.
And this is in addition to weren't there cameras also around the high school? So we didn't have the cost of this one at last week when we
We have
discussed
the
it?
cost of the elementary ones.
This one's over 10,000, so if it's over 10,000, then the board needs to approve it. Under 10,000,
Okay.
For beefing it up.
facility can approve under 10,000.
Gary presented it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, okay, so,
All the cameras would tie into the system,
Yeah,
right?
I make the motion to approve this.
I second the motion.
Okay, further discussion? One question I have on this, when we talked to Rick and Todd about it, did they check on the connectivity between the two schools?
Yep.
And did they also talk to the law enforcement in town about them having access?
That's a little,
It's trickier?
yeah, but we'll,
I just wanna make
We're-
sure that
yep.
at least the two buildings are
Oh,
connected and at the same
absolutely.
time,
yep.
have them look into that to make sure, so we're covered. Okay. So again, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Bus drivers contract.
With the bus driver contract, there was one change. One of their negotiators came in today and asked, after they talked about it, they would like the rate trip for the substitute bus to, because when somebody's gone from the longest route, they put a sub, they take one of the existing bus drivers and put him in that longest route because they know the longest route's better. And so the sub always takes the shortest route, and they said it's not really fair. So what they would like to do is just have one rate and have it be an average of those two for just a substitute rate. And they would like the substitute rate to be then $29.77.
So instead of having two separate long
Two
and short,
separate,
it's just
right.
one.
Just one,
That
$29.77.
doesn't look like that would be a cost thing. Okay.
No.
So,
Is there a, in terms of the longer routes, is there more needing of a sub on that one than the other, or does how the routes out?
Ron Belangi actually has the longest route. He's not
He-
gone very often, but when he is gone, Randy fills into his route, and then someone else takes Randy's shorter route, just because Ron's route, it's a beast to learn.
so do we have a motion to approve the?
I make that motion.
Second?
With the amendment.
Yeah.
With
Yes,
the amendment?
yes, 29.
Second was Jean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Policies for second reading.
Motion to approve policy 901 and 905.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. New business, as for discussion approval, MSHSL.
Go ahead.
Membership renewal.
Yeah, I'm at school board right now.
This technically doesn't have to be approved until August 31st, but it's just one of those where it came in. We do it every year, and I know it's new business. We didn't discuss it before, but it's exactly the same as before. We need to have this so that we can be part of the high school league.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by Gary. Discussion?
Thank you for presenting it to us in advance of August. Sometimes we've had this like
2 days after.
2 days after. I mean, it's right.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate that
Well-
we got it in a timely fashion, even though we haven't had a chance to think about it.
Yeah, when you're approving it, you're also approving that we look at the video,
And we will,
because you are required to do that.
yes, and so then the video will be scheduled for summer viewing.
Great.
All right.
And then
Summertime outside.
we also do need to have,
We've already seen that video.
yes.
Lisa showed it to us.
She's required.
Right.
We've seen it.
And the other thing is that we need the school board designee, but we do that in January, so that's already been done.
Who is our designee?
Gary, I think.
Because it was Joe.
Yeah, but it wasn't Joe in January of this year. Joe wasn't here in January of
I
this
think
year.
Gary.
Oh,
Could be.
I think it's Gary.
Yeah.
Whomever we voted, and
Pickleball. Okay. So, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Announcements, point events.
graduation. We will have graduations before we have the next board meeting. And so therefore, I need to know which board members are wanting to be part of our on-site graduation, and if any board members want to travel to Oakdale for the online graduation.
What day is it?
Is June 3rd a Monday?
it's a Sunday.
Oh, it's a
Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay,
The first is a Friday, third is a Sunday.
okay.
I'm not able to go to Oakdale this year.
Okay?
If we go, what do we have to do? What's our
Give
response?
a speech.
You may give us, if you wanted to
You
give a
want,
speech, you
Give
could.
a speech, Gene.
Board members in the past have been seated on the stage and have just,
Shaking hands.
yes. You congratulate the graduates as they walk across the stage.
I plan on going up, because My grandson's graduating there.
Oh,
From MNVA?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Well, of course you're gonna be on the stage then.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
you might want to be there.
So I have to go there. But he's gonna go leave right after he walks up the stage. He said,
But you can't.
They have cake.
yeah, well, yeah, I don't know.
He won't get cake unless he
Right.
stays.
He doesn't care.
Oh.
He's gonna,
So you going, Gene?
well, I'm going up there for sure, yeah.
That's
Okay.
great.
But since you'll be traveling on your own then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If anybody else wants to go, let Corinne know.
Mhm. We can clock it. But June 1st?
I'll be there. Ron will be there.
Are there board members that want to be?
I'm gonna sit with my family
Okay,
since I have a graduate.
and you wanna be handing out?
Sure. Ron, I'll be up there shaking hands.
There you go.
Shaking it.
unless you wanted Josh to be up there.
No,
wanna be
I
up
think
there,
in this
Josh?
situation, this is much better served by you guys. I personally will sit with my family, cheer,
And Mimi, you've
Yeah,
got
I've gotta help watch little ones and.
so,
Okay.
yeah.
That one going across too.
So they make duck too.
no.
Just joking.
No, you guys would, that'd be great if you guys would do that as a member, representing the
been-
boards.
It's traditionally been the chair and the
Yeah,
Right.
there you go,
so, I mean,
by all means.
but it's nice to have the
Yeah,
information
they tend to
extended
have
beyond
somebody up there.
officers.
I appreciate that. Yes, I appreciate the offer.
It's just anytime you've got members of the board that have children in the class, it's always nice.
What a great class. So,
There.
let that be said. Bright class, what an
Just
over.
because your daughter's in there.
Let me
doesn't mean
just
you have
say
to brag
this
about
way.
it in front of everybody. Every
No.
class
If
that
you look at a
graduates from
running-
Houston
I would love
is
to,
a very intelligent class.
not like this
Great
GPA.
class.
This GPA is, these guys, the median is rocking. I mean, don't you agree, Corinne?
She didn't agree.
There are,
They're all the same. There's exceptional students in every class.
it's a bright class,
It's a,
but, no, they don't have the highest GPA.
Oh.
Class we had. So that's,
I'll talk to the bottom half.
Jeez.
It's too late now.
Okay, any other important events?
I did go to the,
It's kind of a, pardon me for, but it is kind of an eye opener that I saw my son across the stage, both of them. And John just had his 20th class reunion from dental school.
That's just
so what you saying, Ron?
I've been here a long time.
And experience is a wonderful thing.
I did go to the city council meeting on Monday night, and they kind of approved to sign the agreement for the, getting our channel for
Yes,
us.
yes, and so now we're
Which is
waiting
good.
for a Centec to see
Centec.
if they will actually write it into the franchise agreement. So as
So maybe
soon,
by school year, starting next year, we'll have it done.
I'm hopeful. So we
This
just,
summer would be nice if they
Um,
had it, we could let people know if we have stuff to put out on it.
the city sent the letter, the city has sent the letter before, and the holdup the last time was official minutes. The minutes don't become official until the third week of June, and the franchise is being rewritten the end of May. And so that's why I'm just kind of waiting to see if they will amend the franchise without official minutes. So I'm waiting.
So hopefully it won't be another year.
Just
Okay,
take the
anything
minutes
else?
over there, you don't have to tell them they're not official.
I had Chris Peterson explain that the city council had approved it at their meeting. And,
That's what you were told.
no, Chris CC'd me on the email to
Yeah.
a Centec. So Chris Peterson at City Hall has been very, very helpful.
Good.
Okay, anything else? Any Don't think we had any committee meetings, correct?
We have meet and confer on Monday.
Okay, and any feedback, thank yous? Of course, we wanna thank Ms. Gavin for her time and service.
I would like to just make an opportunity to thank Becky for when you realize everything that she was trying to do. I don't think we were very aware. Usually when we'd have a meeting and hear from her about things that she was trying to do, it was good information. Not that we just hearing from boots on the ground, and
She was involved in strategic planning too.
Yep, she was involved in strategic planning, and I think she tried to do everything that we asked her to do in a transition, that you asked her to do in a tough transition time.
Yeah, she was,
And so I really want to say thank you to her for her years.
Thanks for reminding us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else? Okay, do you have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion made by Ron,
Second.
second by Gene. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Do it again.